Hello, let's talk Korra, Season 4, Episode 3, entitled The Coronation. Yes, this sounds like the Tumblr blog, the Coronation. That's what most people associate with when they hear coronation. But the coronation is actually about Prince Wu, or rather, his lack of coronation. So the episode can be divided into two sections, Republic City and the Swamp. So let's start in Republic City since that's what the title is about. So Prince Wu's getting ready for his coronation to become Earth King, and all the world leaders are like, yeah, this is, he's not the greatest leader, but it's some sort of stability. And, Mako's really fed up with being his bodyguard because he's just a shallow idiot. And he kind of gets a slap in the face throughout this entire episode through getting downgraded to a junior suite by the hotel staff, to getting scoffed at by all of the crowd and all of the mall goers. They all hate him, wearing Kuvira supporting t-shirts, Mako not supporting his want to rule, and most importantly, by Kuvira saying, "This man has no power." So Kuvira kind of hijacks his coronation, and she says that I am the great uniter. I am the one who's taking stability and freedom to this nation, which she is calling the Earth Empire. And of course, she is the one who's going to lead the Earth Empire into the future and away from the archaic ways of this monarchy. So we know that Kuvira's supporters are all for this, however there are a lot of world leaders and other people who aren't really into this whole Kuvira tyrant takeover. Now, one of them is actually Sue, her former boss, and she has a talk with her. She says, you're just another tyrant. What makes you different? Which is a really good point, because Kuvira says that she's the one leading freedom, but the fact is, she's just seizing power. And it's really hard to distinguish at this point who the good guy is. I mean, I was even like, oh yeah, Kuvira, that's totally true, when she was using her mind powers on Bolin of manipulation, because he was another one who was extremely hesitant about this. He's like, that caught me by surprise, and what was with the crushing? And she's like, that was just tough rhetoric to let people know that we mean business. And he even uses that exact same phrase when he's trying to explain this to Mako later. So we see this conflict between the traditional monarch and the futuristic tyrant come between the brothers. So Mako is kind of, well, he's nice to Wu, and, he supports what the other world leaders support, obviously, because he's part of the Republic City police force, and they're all backing him. And if you notice, Asami is there too. She's just, like, randomly standing there. It's like all the world leaders, all of the Earth Kingdom ministers, and then the Republic City police, and Asami. Oh, so another thing about Sue is that while she was talking with Kuvira, Kuvira mentioned that people looked to her to solve the crisis once the Earth Queen was dethroned, and Sue didn't want to rise up and she didn't want to seize power, she just hid in Zaofu. And so Kuvira was the one who stepped up and was like, I'll do it! So I guess that's the incident that they've all been referring to. And Batar Jr., I'm sorry, it's just Batar now, was one to follow Kuvira when his mother wouldn't. So we kind of got a little backstory about that, and about Zaofu, and she threatens her at the very end when Sue says, I know what happens to people who don't want to agree with you. And so she says, well, you know what's in store for Zaofu then. Sue better watch out, because Kuvira will crush them like she crushed that medal that Wu put on her, which was very dramatic, and I enjoyed that because that added a great, physical, tangible thing to her speech. It just was the icing on the cake, and we will crush anyone who doesn't get in our way. Ooh, look, I crushed a piece of metal. Varric totally supports her, though, and he's working on a new experiment with the spirit vines, trying to harness its power or something. Kuvira wants him to develop this as soon as possible, because clearly she wants to use it as a weapon to advance her mission in the Earth Empire. So enough of Republic City, let's get to the swamp, where Korra has met Toph. And Toph is just as sarcastic and cynical and funny and tough as she was in The Last Airbender. However, she's extremely old. Beating up Korra brings out that fire and toughness in her that she's kind of lost, I guess, since she's been in the swamp. So we learn that she's kind of developed this cynicism of, inevitable doom or, just pointlessness of do-gooding actions. Because she says, when I was on the beat, I stopped crime every day, but that didn't prevent crime from still happening. And so Korra is that's kind of reflecting how Korra is feeling because, all of the things that she's done. She's taken down Amon and Unalaq with the ultra dark avatar and the Red Lotus and people who want to turn a world into chaos, honestly. And yet there are still problems in the world. And Korra is really scared about facing them. So while with Toph, she realizes that there's still some metal poison within her, and of course Toph can feel it when no one else could. I mean, she's the inventor of metal bending, of course. And so she tries to get it out, but every time she tries, it hurts too much. It's like Korra's subconscious just doesn't want to let go of that, because that would mean facing her fears and facing the hurt and the pain that she's already tried to push back and try to forget about. But the fact is, she has to face it, which is kind of what we explored in the previous episode. And Toph says exactly what Katara said, that she has to be the one to fix her problems. Toph can't just pull the metal out for her. So Korra's going to have to do a little more self-exploration if the last episode wasn't enough. Luckily, Toph is the best person to help her do this, and the swamp is the best place to do it. Toph said that she can feel everywhere, because as we learned in the last Airbender, the swamp is an extremely spiritual place where everything in the entire world is connected. Separation is an illusion. So she can see Republic City and Zaofu and both her daughters and everything that's ever happened, but she still stays in the swamp and is still in her solitude. So with Toph helping Korra, maybe Korra will help Toph. But Korra needs help just getting out of the swamp and getting back into the real world once she's done this, which is why Tenzin is sending his 3 children, Jinora, Ikki, and Milo, to go find Avatar Korra. So they're going to be on a new mission next week. Great episode. Loving seeing Toph back. Let's see what happens in episode 4.